Fire them up. That's what we do here. We fire them up. You are tuned into 1039 WYAB and the Andrew Gossard Show. Today is Wednesday, and we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is 1039 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to our stream. We'd appreciate that greatly. Follow me on X. I've already started posting some of the stuff that we're going to use on the show today. It's just at Andrew Gosser, at AndrewGasser. Yep. And if you want to be part of the show today, easy, 601-879-0002. Text line is open. Been texting for the past hour, 601-879-5060. And, you know, the show had such a different feel at about 9:05 this morning. Lots of stuff, not necessarily positive stuff, not necessarily negative stuff, but certainly leaning more to the negative side. So let's quickly go to Mississippi Today, the Pulitzer Prize-winning nonprofit news organization that can't admit that Benny Thompson received money from the Southern Law Poverty Center, which gave money to the exalted Cyclops and the Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. What do they have there? Man, this is hot off the press. U.S. Supreme Court voids majority black congressional district in Louisiana, weakening part of the Voting Rights Act. Yep, the Supreme Court finally came out and did it. You cannot draw congressional districts, congressional maps. You can't draw political maps based on race. Louisiana, man, that's like going to actually change a lot of what's happening. And there are so many stories out there talking about it right now. Fox News is going with it. They're already drawing maps of what her current map looks like and what it could look like. And I got to tell you, this is a blow for the Democrats. I mean, this is a political face slap, for lack of a better word. And all you former MAGA people who loved Donald Trump until you didn't, how are you feeling now? How are you feeling now? Politics is an ever-changing game. We all have our favorite politicians. We all have our politicians that we don't like. But you sit there and you get locked in. Somebody does something that you don't like, and, oh, you're dead to me. No. This would not be happening if Donald Trump didn't appoint the Supreme Court justices that he did. And of course, Ground News, which says it's completely unbiased and gives its biased meters and all this stuff. Nope, not the lead story, although the lead story that they're going with, we will talk about. Look, everything that can be shaken will be shaken in the United States and the world. And you know what? I know I didn't talk about the mission statement of the Andrew Gosser Show. I just jumped right into it. But the mission at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. Absolutely. People are already, texting saying, "Did you hear about the landmark ruling?" It's a big ruling. I'm getting all sorts of different texts here. This is a 2-minute piece of sound on the high court. Let's get it real quick here. I'm going to go digest a little bit more of this, but we need to talk about what are we going to do now that this ruling has come out? What are we going to do?
Good morning. Okay, so this at first blush here is a win for the plaintiffs who were not black plaintiffs. They were non-minority voters who challenged this decision. These two districts that were minority majority, essentially, Louisiana had drawn up districts, and then they were told in a legal battle that they had not represented black and minority voters sufficiently. They went back and drew a second district. So they had two of these minority majority districts. Well, then non-black voters sued and said, this is now violating our rights on the basis of race. So it looks like this is a 6-3 decision. There is one concurrence here, but it looks like the dissent sticks together with Justices Kagan.
Yep. So we knew that was going to happen. You know that Justice Kagan, who is intelligent, I don't agree with her political views, but she is intelligent. Sotomayor, who's intelligent, I don't agree with her political decisions, but she can actually hold a conversation. And then you got Ketanji Brown Jackson, who we all agree needs a new coloring book and a box of crayons and to be sat in the corner because that's about all she's good for. She doesn't even know what a woman is.
Sotomayor and Jackson. But here's what the majority says. They say in some, because the Voting Rights Act did not require Louisiana to create an additional majority minority district, no compelling interest justified the state's use of race in creating SB 8. That was those two new districts. That map is an unconstitutional gerrymander. And
you know what? If we were really looking at gerrymandered maps, you'd go look at California, you'd go look at Illinois, you'd go look at Minnesota. Heck, go look at any state in New England where it's all a sea of blue, even though it's 40 to 45% Republican over there. Some of them are more like 35. I'll give it to you. But Republicans have been completely districted out. And that's what's sinking the country. Now, our governor yesterday already called a special session to redraw the Supreme Court district seat. But I'm wondering if we're going to redraw our seats, other seats. You know, we had those special elections last year where Republicans had to redraw maps based on race, which they lost. Are they going to be able to redraw them back now? And this is part of the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you it's so important, even though you might not like your state rep, you might not like your state senator, you might not like the lieutenant governor. It's important that you have a positive relationship with them. And not just one of us, but thousands of us. I mean, right now, every Mississippi state representative and every Mississippi state senator should have their phones being blown up by text, not blown up like ISIS or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. Somebody's out there going to say, "Oh, you're threatening a senator." No, they should be being bombarded with text saying it's time to redraw the maps. And some will say, "We need to use discretion," and I'm okay with that. The truth of the matter is we all know that the 2nd congressional district in Mississippi is drawn in such a way that it's impossible for any Republican to win. Notice I didn't say any black person to win or any white person to win or any Indian person, any Republican to win. And the 2nd district in Mississippi looks something straight out of Illinois. Give it the whole western side. And Andrew, this is just politics. Yes, it is. Benny Thompson is personally responsible for the J6 hearings. Some people would say that others are responsible for that. I'm putting it on Benny in this case. But now is not the time to start beating up our local Republican delegations, whether they be the state reps, state senators, or county parties. Now's the time to go and reinforce them. Man, instead of operating in the hate, operate in the good, man. I can't do that way. I can't operate on just burning stuff down. And for those of you who are and think it's gonna do good, I can promise you it's not. Today's not that show, but we can talk about it sometime if you want. It's a potential somewhere between 22 and 70 seats could be redrawn between now and when the election is held in November. Not just in Mississippi, obviously, but they're looking at all of the South. They're still looking at Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, kinda making Indiana look a little silly. It's an exciting day if you're a Politico. And just because Mississippi redraws its districts, if it chooses to redraw its districts, and I'm not trying to put words in the governor's mouth, the lieutenant governor's mouth, any state rep or state senator's mouth. But just because you redraw the district doesn't mean you're gonna win. You have to give those voters a reason to come out and win. And truthfully, I hope they do redistrict it. Why? Because I don't want Republican plus 12 seat, Republican plus 18 seat. There is no base. No one is safe. We had this show earlier this year, maybe it was late last year, where some of the most safest Republicans in America, specifically in Kentucky and Ohio and Indiana, there's a grouping there. These are like Republican plus 25, Republican plus 26, and their conservative voting record is like plus 52, plus 60. We want competition. And honestly, the good politicians aren't gonna worry about it. Some people say there's no such thing as a good politician. I disagree. I think there are some out there who are doing it for the right reasons. But once again, Donald J. Trump was right, and he called this back last year. And it's still going on. You know, the Supreme Court today is holding more hearings on TPS. Andrew, what's TPS? Temporary protected status. Wait, you mean the Haitians who have been in the country for almost 20 years, you can take away their temporary protected status? Well, if they've been in the country for more than 20 years, they're pretty much not temporary right now, are they? There is so much to this. It's like our country is in the death rows. It is rapidly and violently trying to correct the errors of its ways, and some people are saying it we shouldn't be doing it, and there's others saying it's not going far enough. But those of us who are in the middle see this for what this is. It's a good day. Not only should the South redraw its maps, but the North should too. No one can tell me in any good rhyme or reason that Illinois should only have 2 Republican seats. No one should tell me that New York should only have 3, or that the rest of New England have none. It's just simply not representative of the population. It's been a long time coming for this decision. My biggest regret, and this is something that a couple of texters have said, is that why this didn't come out sooner? Why didn't this come out in March? Does Mississippi have the fortitude to have another primary election because the boundaries were inoperative? Or are we just gonna say, "We're not gonna worry about it in 2026, we'll draw it for 2028"? What about 2027? Is it time to redraw our state reps and state congressional or state reps and state senator seats? There's lots of questions. Speaker White, Lieutenant Governor Hoseman got lots to do now. Special session's been called. There's no reason that we can't go in there and make this happen. And for the people who are saying it's gonna take months to study, and no, it's not. The data is there. The computer data is there. You plug in the parameters and you have it start generating maps, and you get to one that you agree with. Now the Democrats will cry foul. They'll moan and behest. But if we're truthful and we look at the Democrat-controlled places here in Mississippi, they ain't good. Like I was telling that liberal yesterday, what does Jackson have to offer any Fortune 500 company? Non-working water system, poor power grid, leader in America for murder per capita. You know, that's what Jackson has to offer. And it's not because it's black, it's because it's Democrat. And you can just go look around the United States. You don't see any prospering Democrat cities. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Boston, Washington, DC. The list goes Dallas. Someone's just texted Dallas. Unknown texter. Go back and check your data. Go see if the mayor of Dallas is a Republican or a Democrat. It's a chance to shift this to the right, but, you know, am I excited for this? Yes, I hope you hear it in my voice that I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I know that there is a 98% chance that absolutely nothing happens in Mississippi. or the rest of the United States, outside of Florida and Louisiana. Louisiana is moving. I- I'm not saying I want to be like Louisiana. I don't like some of the stuff they do, but they are fighting to keep their tradition and culture. I wish we would too. And just because you have redrawn congressional districts doesn't mean you have to run a white Republican. I'm sure there's some black Republicans out there who would love a chance to run for office in the new second congressional district of Mississippi. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYB. We're moving and grooving on a Wednesday. If you want to be part of the show, the number is 601 879 0002. Text line is open 601 879 5060. Texts are blowing up. I'm not going to read them until the next break, but I want to continue with this. Ground news is often said that it's non biased and everything. But I'm just saying that I'm noticing the shift to the left, and our news sources are getting tougher and tougher to find. I pay a subscription just because I wanna get both sides of the story. That's why I go to places like Mississippi Free Press. Mississippi Free Press still doesn't have anything on the Supreme Court opinion, or the SPLC for that matter. But yep, Mississippi Today, the Pulitzer Prize winning nonprofit news agency, front and center, but nothing again, and it's just perspective, what you believe in, where your values are centered and grounded. So what about this ruling? I kind of pontificated about it. It was 6-3, and it came out of Louisiana. Justice Samuel Alito, writing for the conservative majority, argued that the district relied too heavily on race. Justice Kagan dissented, warning that the decision renders Section 2 all but a dead letter, which I have to admit is quite poetic. And you want to see some of the best writing ever, go read the dissents, whether it's a liberal dissent or a conservative dissent. There's some powerful arguments to be had there. Might come back in 30, 40, 50 years. Plaintiffs challenging the future redistricting must now ensure demonstration maps are race neutral and controlled for partisan affiliation, fundamentally altering legal strategies nationwide. And that's going to be the big thing there. It is now you're going to have to draw maps that are not based on race or party affiliation. You're not going to have the spokes of Illinois or California, or you're just not going to give the whole west side of the state of Mississippi to the Democrats. I think this is a huge opportunity for the Delta, quite frankly, and for Jackson, and for some of these other places that have been under Democrat congressional control. You've had the same guy there since 1992 who's promised you something but never really delivered, except a good catfish fry. Shakes hands, got a great smile. He's a smooth talker too. I can remember talking to him back in 2012, 2014 on space issues. He wasn't a space guy, but I always made it a point to talk to the non-space people. Yep, that's me. So why do I say all that? I say all that to say this. When we were all concerned about what was happening in the state house and we downloaded the app, everybody remembers that app, that now is the time for you to call up your state rep and state senator and say, look, we need to have new maps. And don't be violent or angry. That's not going to get you anywhere. My mom always used to say, a spoonful of honey is better than a spoonful of vinegar. You attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Are politicians flies? Well, I'm not equating politicians to insects or flies, but the saying is true. There's a couple proverbs I could say too, but that ECM legislative app that we all downloaded, and some of you used very successfully. And Andy, this sounds like you said this before. Yes, because it's true. And sometimes you need to be clubbed over the head with the same information over and over again until it gets into your brain. Now's the time. If you haven't reached out to your state rep or state senator, now's the time to do that. And say, we just don't want the Mississippi Supreme Court justice map altered. We want all the maps altered. We in Mississippi are all too familiar with this. And our past does not determine our future. There will be a segment of people who want to hang on to that past because it drives them. It gives them fire. It gives them hate. It gives them sense of purpose. It motivates them. We got to get beyond that. We have so many more other issues to talk about. And by the way, what is causing all this hatred now? Is it just a new way of thinking? Is it social media? Is it a lack of God? Is it some combination of all of the above? Is it a lack of poor parenting? All I know is that this Supreme Court ruling is just absolutely insane. I'm gonna pull up from the Magnolia Tribune here. Let me find it. Whoop, sorry about that. Magnolia Tribune. Not pulling up. 404 error. Well, let's try this again. Magnolia Tribune. Here you go. Supreme Court voids majority black congressional district in Louisiana, boosting Republican chances. The Supreme Court Wednesday struck down Louisiana's second majority black congressional district. The map is unconstitutionally gerrymandered, Justice Samuel Alito wrote for the 6 conservatives. The decision weakens the landmark voting rights law protections against discrimination and redistricting. Yeah, this isn't 1963 anymore. It's unclear how much is left of the provision known as Section 2, the main way to challenge a racially discriminatory election practices. Look, you know what? It's going to end up causing? It's going to cause the bluer states to get more blue and the redder states to get more red. It's what's going to happen. Oh, this section's getting a little bit too conservative in Pennsylvania. Let's give it a little more, give it another 4 blocks of Philadelphia. The 1965 voting rights law, the centerpiece of the legislation of the civil rights movement, succeeded in opening the ballot box to Black Americans and reducing persistent discrimination in voting. Correct. We're not 1965 anymore. Nearly 70 of the 365 or 435 congressional districts are protected by Section 2 electoral law. Expert Nicole Stephanopoulos has estimated. I have seen that the numbers that can actually change is 22. I mean, it'll be so it's gonna be poor in the aspect that we're not gonna have people like Jasmine Crockett in Congress anymore, where 1 minute she's the sophisticated woman, eloquent speaker, and the next minute she's full from the hood. And she doesn't get called out for that either. The court did an about face in a decision in a similar case in Alabama less than 3 years ago. There's a typo there by the Associated Press. That led to a new congressional map for the state that sent 2 Black Democrats to Congress. What's gonna happen to Alabama? That's gonna be huge too. I got my friend Paul over there in Alabama, we're gonna have to find out. It says Alabama has a separate appeal pending in the Supreme Court. Wow. This is gonna have massive implications. It's gonna come back down to culture. Do we like the way that Jackson's going? If yes, vote Democrat. If you don't like the way Jackson is going, vote no, vote Republican. Or get a new Democrat in there, do something. But I'm just grateful and thankful that we're not drawing districts just strictly based on race anymore. I'm sure that there's gonna be a lot more to come to this. There still has to be more to it. They say it's a 100-page report, and it hasn't even been out a full hour yet, so we'll find out when, as the more reports come out. I'm sure it'll be up there on X and everything else. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh yeah. Yep. Times are changing. People are asking me to replay. I mean, this new voter right map might actually have some real change. We might be able to get rid of some of the Congress people like this.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Yeah, World War 11. Thanks, Ohan, Ilhan. I not trying to get your name wrong, but there's so many different ways that people pronounce it, and that's what I've heard of it. I mean, there are all sorts of examples of crazy people in Congress, and it's not just Democrats. And there's Republicans who are crazy out there too. But this is almost like a chance for us to restart the maps and get it to where we don't have districts so safe that you can put in somebody who's just waited their time and it's now their turn. Never did like that. Never did like that at all. Magnolia Tribune putting out fire today, putting out good stories. I want to get to some more of their stuff. This is one from Russ Latino. Controversial Ole Miss professor shares 8647 post days after Trump assassination attempt. You know, we do have a First Amendment, right? You can say whatever the heck you want to say, but it doesn't mean that you have the right to be employed, especially at an institution of higher learning like Ole Miss. My daughter's thinking about going there. If this guy's going to be her professor, I don't want her going there at all. This guy's just dumbing down America. Secret Service agents apprehended a suspect Saturday night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. after a gunfire rang out. On Tuesday, University of Mississippi sociology professor James M. Thomas posted to his social media channels a photograph of seashells on a beach ranged in the 8647. Thomas captioned the post, waves in First Amendment, presumably a reference to the First Amendment. I would say that. What I just don't understand this, liberals, your obsession with violence and assassination. The studies are out there that are showing that the political left is so much more open to political violence. They try to say that the right wing does it more, but it's the way that they categorize the right wing violence and the left wing violence is completely uh, you know unlevel. It's not making sense. It's almost like they're trying to rehash the 1960s in 2026, and it's not working. For the record, if this was a Republican doing this to Kamala Harris, I'd be like, "Get rid of him." There's no room in academia for stuff like this. It's killing our culture. Ole Miss is supposed to be one of the bright institutions of Mississippi, and we've got a sociology professor so stupid he can't express his opinions without copying a picture and threatening the president of the United States. What a moron. What a nincompoop. So frustrated. I could just see him sitting there. 8647, 8647. First Amendment. Let me go teach your kid. If anything, we can pretty much say that the public education system in the United States has let down the kids over the past 40 years. Thomas Post came on the same day that former FBI Director James Comey was indicted in North Carolina for sharing the same seashell photograph back in 2025. So this professor is showing even a bonus. I mean, it's almost like a cheap fool around and find out type of thing. You know, do we live in a society where we can't express ourselves? You know, we talked about this yesterday with the kids not being emotionally stable, not being able to express their feelings, how they feel. They just got to get online and tap and point at stuff and be stimulated. Are we coming to that point to where, I'm sure it happens on the right, but I don't see it, or I call it out. Do we have conservative professors at institutions of learning posting stuff like this? No. After Magnolia Tribune broke, the Thomas Post story was picked up by national conservative social media commentators. Yeah, good on you, Russ. Libs of TikTok. Hi, Ole Miss. Why is this guy still employed? That's a great thing. You know what? I might have to go ahead and call him up and see what's going to happen to him. Magnolia Tribune sought comment from the university officials moments after Thomas posted the photograph, but as of press time, it has not received a response. Not only that, but this guy's got a track record of this. This is another post of his. Just don't interrupt the senator's meal, y'all. Put your whole damn fingers in their salads. Take their apps and distribute them to the other diners. Bring boxes and take their food home with you on the way out. They don't deserve your civility. This guy is a nutcase, man. And if you haven't gone to Magnolia Tribune, again, we love our local journalists here at the Andrew Gosser Show in WYAB. I'll post that right to my X account right now, so you can go read the story yourself, and you can pontificate about it. And the thing is we're not calling out for violence against this nut job, but he shouldn't be an educator. He needs to be in a warehouse somewhere moving boxes. You know, when I was an instructor in the Navy and in the Air Force, it was I served at the pleasure of the commanding officer, and it was the best shore duty that you could get. And I never took one day as a break. I never took one day for granted. Man, to be a professor at an esteemed institution like Ole Miss, you'd think you'd have some professionalism about you. You would think that you'd be like, man, I've got this job. I have great hours. I get to mold young skulls full of mush. Get to challenge their way of thinking. Not this guy. I think to the max extent possible, everybody should be treated civilly until they given a reason not to be. And we're not calling for violence against this guy or anything like that. In January 2019, Thomas compared young Trump supporters to modern-day Hitler Jugend. I've never heard that word before. Comparing him to Hitler. And, you know, all of a sudden, you see the left all of a sudden, why is America so angry? Why is America so angry? Well, the left has controlled the news media for the last 40 years, and all they can do is say conservative, bad, liberal, good. In 2020, Thomas got crossways with State Auditor Shad White. Thomas participated in a scholar strike to protest racial injustice and inequality. White demanded he reimburse the state for the days he was compensated while striking. Litigation ensued. White again criticized Thomas for his post late Tuesday afternoon, electing to a response from the professor, which downplayed the use of 86. To be clear, 86 means to get rid of. No, to be clear here, Mr. or Instructor Thomas, Professor Thomas, whatever you are right now. 86 is a gang term for killing somebody. Everybody knows that's what it means. You're sitting here trying to be all professorial and get rid of. No, man, this guy just needs to go. I know this because I worked on the hospitality industry long before I had letters after my name. That the Mississippi State auditor finds my speech more offensive than POTUS's 34 felony convictions, which are all overturned, and multiple accusations of sexual assault betrays his sympathies. That's where America's at right now. You're either A or B. There's no room for the in between. And the left is just getting more whacked out and more whacked out. They're shifting the Overton window to bring more people who traditionally would be considered more liberal. I know many of you because you stop at me at the Kroger or when I'm eating saying, "Hey, how's it going?" I don't agree with you all the time, but I'm in that window. It's very well known. It's very well known. The shift of American politics, we're getting social media is just getting us more and more out of hand. We're getting wilder and wilder, the things that we say, things that we do. Meanwhile, TikTok melts the brain of a 3-year-old. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh, the liberal tears are rolling. They're rolling. You've got this one influencer, I'll call him. United States Supreme Court right-wing justices are just you can't even spell correctly. Simply just gave a simple ruling, agreeing with members of the KKK. They target minorities and work with Republicans to dilute minority voting power. Shameful and embarrassing. And I just want to reiterate to this guy, number one, spell check is your friend. It's always good for you. But Massachusetts, 38% Republican, 0 congressional seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican, 0 congressional seats. The state of Maine, 46% Republican, 0 congressional seats. New Hampshire, 46% Republican, 0% or 0 congressional seats. Rhode Island, 42% Republican, 0 congressional seats. Vermont, 32% Republican, 0 congressional seats. Delaware, 42% Republican, 0 congressional seats. Yet Texas started it. The system is trying so hard to correct itself without getting violent. And we have to come together as Americans and realize that this isn't 1962 anymore. This isn't 1965. It's not 1968. Gen X, we had this stuff licked in late 1990s and 2000s. What the heck happened? What the heck happened? There are all sorts of stories coming out. Axios is also saying now that 19 seats could flip after the SCOTUS ruling. 19 seats. This is just another reason why we really need to look at how we draw our maps, because if that is truly the case, by my math, which is sometimes sketchy, but not on this, I think I'm pretty much correct. That would give, if 19 seats flipped from Democrat to Republican, that means that the Republicans would start off with 220 congressional seats and would already win the House before a single vote was cast, because of how the maps are drawn. The same things that are done in conservative states is also being done in liberal states. So we can't say that it's good for the goose but not for the gander. I argue that we need seats that are much more closer aligned. I mean, there's some states or some congressional districts, D plus 30. My gosh. How do you ever get any real representation out of something like that? I don't get it. I simply don't get it. We got a long way to go. I'm looking forward to the next hour. You know, the king was in town yesterday, yet there was not one protest for the No Kings. He gave a joint session to Congress, talked in the Oval Office, didn't say any harsh words to President Trump. Everything's hunky-dory. Everything's working out fine. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we know about. And all you liberals yesterday who are upset about the oil prices, I thought you'd be happy with those oil prices, because the prices that we have for gasoline right now, absolutely nothing compared to what it would be if the Green New Deal was actually in place. You think it's bad now. Go look at some of the projections of what Greta Thunberg and her ilk wanted. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Hang in there during the news break. We're going to listen to the news and we'll be right back.
From ABC
No more
News,
CBS.
I'm Michelle Franzen. The Supreme Court ruling against a key section of the Voting Rights Act. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
The case was about the drawing of majority black congressional districts in Louisiana. The court's 6-3 holding strikes down that map as an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act survives, but it's now been significantly weakened by the court. The law seeks to ensure that minorities are entitled to equal participation in voting, But Justice Samuel Alito's opinion, co-signed by his 5 conservative colleagues, is likely to limit enforcement of Section 2 and help Republicans in their efforts to redraw districts that now include large minority populations.
Top Trump administration officials testifying on the White House $1.5 trillion defense budget. Secretary Pete Hegseth facing lawmakers for the first time since the war with Iran began and pushing back on bipartisan criticism over the war and U.S. goals.
The biggest challenge, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans. 2 months in, I remind you, 2 months in.
Talks with Iran remain stalled over the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, driving up oil and gas prices. Former FBI Director James Comey expected to self-surrender 1 day after a federal grand jury indicted Comey for his Instagram post last year of shells in the formation of 8647. Prosecutors allege it was a threat against President Trump. ABC's Jonathan Karl says it's the latest effort by the Trump administration to prosecute Comey.
I've been talking to current and former federal prosecutors who are calling this the flimsiest federal indictment that they have ever seen. Even Trump's allies are privately calling it embarrassing, or as one very prominent former Trump DOJ official told me last night, depressing.
King Charles and Queen Camilla in New York City today, on day 3 of their U.S. visit, paying respects to the September 11th memorial. You're listening to ABC News.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code QUICK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code QUICK to borrow up to $10,000. Use code QUICK to borrow up to...
News brought to you this hour by Lee's Old Country Store, Antiques and Collectibles, located on Highway 22 in Flora, a half mile west of 49 North.
The overnight storms are done. Now even more storms are possible. The Weather Service says that even though we got through the night with no major storms hitting central Mississippi, you do have the chance today to get some rough weather. This afternoon, this part of the state is in a 1 in 5 risk for storms that could have high winds and hail. Those storms are expected to be more scattered, though. It's a 60% chance of storms by the afternoon with a high at 81. Tonight, that goes up to 80% with a low at 60. Thursday's high is only 72, but with an 80% chance for rain, and another round of severe weather is possible late Friday into early Saturday. You've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis. Not all of Mississippi got away clean with the storms last night. The Delta got a lot of heavy rain and at least one tornado warning. DeSoto County had people without power this morning as the same cluster of storms that may have dropped a twister in Dyersburg, Tennessee, came through there. In Yazoo, it's a different kind of turbulence. They're having a problem with people firing guns around town, with Sheriff Jeremy Bull McCoy posting a picture last night of his entire force getting suited up to try and catch the people who he says have been wearing masks, dressed in all black, firing guns from the back of a truck. He says more than 100 shots may have been fired Monday night. In Jackson, a man was shot and killed on Abraham Lincoln Drive Tuesday, and police are describing that as a domestic situation. The victim has been ID'd as 22-year-old Jason Johnson, whose body was found when police got to the house, with the shooter said to have gotten in a car with his kids and taken off. He goes by the name Twin or TJ, and police are asking for tips. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
Doctor, they see doctor, what's your diagnosis? My whole house was hot as a fever, now my house frozen, cause my air conditioning's on. Doctor, my AC's broken. Doctor, they see doctor, heal my
soul.
The AC Doctors is your one-stop provider for air conditioning and heating installation, service, and repair. Contact us for money-saving repairs and lower energy bills.
Doctor, doctor, the AC doctor, you heal my house, bless my soul.
Google the AC Doctors and get some relief today. TheACDR.com.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is 103.9 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Follow me on X at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Appreciate that. Yep. If you want to be part of the show today, the number 601-879-0002. Text line is open. We're going to get to some of those right away. 601-879-5060. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. How do you guys like the new top of the hour news and bottom of the hour news briefs? We switched away from CBS because they were going defunct, and we went with ABC. A lot of people have been asking, why didn't we go with Fox or something like that? There's already 2 other stations carrying Fox, and ABC was the right fit for us. So that's what we're doing. I think it's better so far. We'll have to wait and see. Now to get to your comments. Andrew, you're nothing but a racist. Okay, can you elaborate? Because people are throwing around the word racist, and it's just like it means nothing anymore. I'm sitting here pointing out obvious truth. Is it racist to capitalize black but underscore white or Indian or Asian? I mean, some of y'all are just, you got the TDS brain melt. Rick texted in, could you imagine how big the flip would be if Trump would have kept his first 4 months going? Doge, deportations, no wars, just kept going, and then this ruling came. As it is now, the base that got Trump in is very unmotivated and probably won't vote. Yeah, it's definitely not a invalid thought to have, Brother Rick, but I'm choosing not to take that black pill. We got to take them as we get them. And, we do not have a king. We have a president, but the king was in the United States. And you know what? Wouldn't you know it? Antifa did not show up. No one came to go ahead and protest the king and the queen. Not one. Makes you really think about what's really behind the political left in America. It's dysfunctional thinking. It's really bad. But anyways, this is a 2-minute and 6-second clip. He addressed the joint session of Congress, and I'm not picking the same clips that every other news media outlet took. That's not what you're here for. You listen because I bring stories to you that come to you at a different point of view, a different angle of attack, if you will. Let's listen to this one right here.
And, Mr. Speaker, for many here, and for myself, the Christian faith is a firm anchor and daily inspiration that guides us, not only personally.
Standing ovation.
Guides us not only personally, but together as members of our community. Having devoted a large part of my life to interfaith relationships and
liberal ovation
and greater understanding, it is that faith in the triumph of light over darkness, which I have found confirmed countless times. Through it, I am inspired by the profound respect that develops as people of different faiths grow in their understanding of each other.
Now, King, I love you all, and I'm grateful that I've gone to England multiple times, up the Arsenal, down with City. Yep, but Mr. King, you forget your own mullahs over there in England. So, with that, I'd like to play you Exhibit A, Mr. King.
We don't say that Islam is here to live, to coexist with lots of different religions, and all of us can just...
No interfaith there, Your Majesty. No interfaith there. And if you were looking at this guy, Your Majesty, your guard would be very, very suspect of this guy. He looks angry.
Hold hands and be friends. This religion has been sent to dominate, to wipe out, to take out every other religion.
With Islam, you must submit. You have to accept. With Christianity, you choose. You can choose not to. You can choose to. But with Islam, you must submit. And this is what's taken over your capital, Your Majesty. This is coming right off the north side of London.
To have the people leave every religion and to accept Islam. And if that requires fighting to achieve it, then it requires fighting to achieve it.
That right there sounds to me like he's advocating for violence. If you do not submit, you fight. And if you submit, you're still going to get in a fight.
Because the greatest purpose for which jihad was legislated is to make the word of Allah the highest and the word of those who disbelieve the lowest, even if the disbelievers hate it. But we're not shy to say it, and we don't find that to be something that we should be shy to say.
Your Majesty, so when you come over to the United States and you start saying that stuff, I find it difficult to believe that you're believing what you're saying. Because England is a mess right now, sir. It's a total mess. But I want to let you finish your speech here.
It is why, it is my hope, my prayer, that in these turbulent times, working together and with our international partners, we can stem the beating of plowshares into swords.
And it's funny because he thought that he was going to get a big applause line there. He kind of looked up and like, guys, hello?
I am mindful that we are still in the season of Easter, the season that most strengthens my hope. It is why I believe with all my heart that the essence of our two nations is a generosity of spirit and a duty to foster compassion, to promote peace, to deepen mutual understanding, and to value all people of all faiths and of none. And
with that was the end of King Charles's speech to the joint session of Congress. I would just like to say that the king is right. Easter season is the most important because without the risen king, nothing else matters. Everybody else has died. But it brings me to another point, which was significantly not talked about, was all the problems that England, specifically their parliament and Speaker Keir Starmer, have been putting on the United States, making it difficult for us to prosecute the Iranian war. And again, for those of you who are against the Iranian war because oil's so high, number one, it's not as high as it was under Biden or Obama. But you're saying, oh, Andy, you're just using that as a comparison to block. It's still no. We're trying to change the way the world works. I don't really like buying and having the oil being controlled by Islamic terrorists or front organizations like Islamic Jihad, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. And if we have to go through and sacrifice high gas prices for 6 months, a year to reset the system, then I'm for it. I've been advocating on this program. I think there's other sources of energy out there that we don't know about yet. And it's almost like, just like the defense agency is like burning through all of their Patriot missiles and THAAD missiles, and we get all these scary reports that we're running low on stuff. There are things behind it. And quite frankly, how good do we have it here in America? That caller yesterday was saying greed, greed, greed. Yeah, you are greedy. You can sit here from the great state of Mississippi and call out the people who are defending your greed, if that's what you want to call it. So you can sit on a phone and we can have a pleasant conversation with each other. And we can talk about how the United States has it best. We got the Arby's open. The Wendy's is open. The McDonald's is open. Don't tell the sweet bee I went to McDonald's yesterday. She'd be upset. 2 cheeseburger meal, under $10. Not bad. And my house dog, BB Queen, she enjoys it because she gets the extra French fries. We have it so good in America. We don't have one iota of the problems that Iranians have, let alone the Europeans. The Europeans are the ultimate example of liberal brain rot. They're living on their legacy, their history. They're shutting down their farmers. We're trying to improve our farming. Everybody says oil is bad, and yet, listening to Brother Rick and to some of the other callers here, we need to get the nitrogen out of oil to fertilize our soil so we can have higher crop yield, so we can feed the world. And then some are just doom scrollers. No matter what you do, you're just pessimistic. No matter how good we have it, no matter how good it is. You know, the stock market could hit 53,000. Oh, it's not high enough. Stock market drops 200 points. Oh, just wait. It's supposed to be sunny today. Oh, it's going to rain. It's going to be sunny tomorrow. Oh, we need more rain. I've had to like remove some of those people from my life. The ultimate pessimistic people. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not all doom and gloom either. And the fact that England felt safe enough to send their king and queen over to the United States of America right after an assassination attempt should say something about the stability of our country. Every country has their sect of problems, and you know, we in America, we have ours too. But we are nothing like some people want to make you out to be. We're a great country. No one gives more to charity than America. We have great faith-based family. Unfortunately, our education system's trying to snatch it out away from us. This secularism, it's not working out good. When we get back, we got to talk about Dr. Fauci. I got a couple clips, and it kind of got me excited a little bit. Maybe we'll have some justice for Mr. Anthony Fauci. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We'll be right back. Things are moving and grooving in America today. Got the Supreme Court overthrowing the VRA, Section 2, which caused a lot of gerrymandering of maps. Hopefully, we get some of those fixed. People are getting arrested for some of the crimes that we should have thought been arrested a long time ago. And I'm starting with this right here. Former senior NIAID official indicted for concealing federal records during COVID-19 pandemic. Andy, what the heck is the NIAID? Well, funny you should ask. National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Yep. But we can't forget good old Dr. Fauci. We need to play Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. I'd have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted. What happened on January 6th, Senator?
Do you think that this is about making you a scapegoat to deflect
Of
from
course.
President Trump?
Of course, you have to be asleep not to figure that one out.
Well, there are a lot of Republican senators taking aim at this. I mean,
That's okay. I'm just going to do my job. And I'm going to be saving lives, and they're going to be lying.
it seems another layer of danger to play politics around matters of life and death.
Right, exactly. And to me, that's unbelievably bad, because all I want to do is save people's lives. That's what I have done for the last 50 years, 37 of which was leading the Institute. And when I see people who scatter around misinformation and lies that can actually endanger the lives of people, but also it is very easy to pick out an individual and make them a target, because that's what people can focus on. But you're talking about systems. You're talking about the CDC. You're talking about the FDA. You're talking about science in general. So if they want to, I mean, anybody who's looking at this carefully realizes that there's a distinct anti-science flavor to this. So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there, there's a face, there's a voice you can recognize, you see him on television. So it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science, because I represent science.
There it is. He represents science. Tony Fauci, the more we find out about the COVID-19 virus, where it came from, and you couldn't even say it came from China. Now we know that we can. The things that this guy did and is responsible for and got away with is criminal. And it's taking a long time to come out. And the news, I wouldn't say that they're closing in on Anthony Fauci, but they're getting there. And that's what this indictment of former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease employee is facing an indictment for his role in a scheme to evade Freedom of Information Act requests in connection with COVID-19 research grants. David M. Morans, 76, of Chester, Maryland, is charged with a conspiracy against the United States, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records. I can tell you, when you get a FOIA request, I was never scared of them because I didn't have anything to hide. But I'll tell you this, when you start getting charged with these types of investigations, it's difficult to see how he's going to get out of it, because basically what they're saying is that he hid important data from the American people. And the truth of the matter is there's not one person that's listening to my voice who is not sorry that they didn't get the clot shot. All of us know somebody who either died from COVID-19 or died from complications from the shot, or the 6-time booster, or wearing the double mask. But it was the science. It was the science, when actually there's so many scientists out there who thought this was all BS anyways. These allegations represent a profound abuse in trust at a time when the American people needed it most. Yep, you know what? People used to think, oh, the CDC's got it. We're going to have this figured out. There was a level of trust that was built in to the federal government. And I genuinely think that while our trust in the federal government was on its way down in 2019, it completely sunk through the floor once the virus was completely unleashed. Knowing that it went through University of North Carolina, getting worked out into China, Wuhan, the wet market, all these things, you couldn't even say it. Think about this. We censored ourselves. We censored what we could say on social media. Twitter and Facebook, Blue Sky, all the other network or social media accounts, they were actively working with the FBI. Actively working with the FBI to shut down voices of dissent. this is coming from Stat News, and I'll read this because this is a little bit better. Charges come after a lengthy congressional probes related to the origins of SARS-CoV-2. Trump administration officials said that the legal filing that Morans hid and falsified records to undermine and debate the origins of the virus that spurred the COVID-19 pandemic. And people are also trying to say now this is where our kids really started frying out because they weren't getting the social interaction with what they thought they needed. And our kids need to be interactive. They need public interaction, not just with their family, but with other kids. I mean, us Gen Xers growing up, the boomers growing up, silent generation growing up, we had everything from the little rascals to riding dirt bikes out in the field. Man, we did a lot more than just that. We had a lot of fun. And these kids' childhood has been completely boxed up and pushed away because of people like Dr. Fauci giving us bad gouge. And I'm glad to see that the Department of Justice is finally doing something about this. My question is, though, why is this all coming out now? Is there a reason that this is coming out now and not, well, Pam Bondi was there? I mean, we have to ask the question. Why couldn't this come out earlier? And maybe it's all just coming out now. It's just when it's lining up. I can't be sure, but I'll tell you what, it sure is just distracting and unsatisfying to me. It's almost like a "see, I told you so." And more DOJ news. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Savannah Hernandez from Turning Point Action. She was the journalist who was attacked outside an ICE facility in Minnesota. Oh, let's take this phone call real quick here. Let's see what happens. Hey, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is coming out because now you got a new acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche. He wants the job. I believe he wants the job, and I think he's trying to do anything he can to placate the president. So you'll see a whole bunch of indictments coming out for anything from jaywalking because he wants the job. The problem I have is you can indict people, but the problem is, are you going to get any convictions? Don't waste my time and tell me we're indicting people because the average person thinks if you got an indictment, you got a strong case. No, you just went in there and a prosecutor laid out a couple of allegations and the jury, well, sounds credible. Sounds like it rises to the level. But at the end of the day, we come away with nothing. Like this James Comey thing. Come on. If you can't find anything stronger than 86 on some seashells? Are you kidding me? That's what you're doing is you're saying to your listeners, your voters, I think you're just that stupid. That you guys will fall for this and think that we're really going after James Comey with this garbage? Come on, man. I know there's got to be somebody inside the FBI, some files somewhere where you can come up with a strong, cogent case where he has a legitimate chance of actually being convicted of anything. But that's unfortunate. That's the game these guys are playing. Dr. Fauci, I hear you talk about Dr. Fauci. Come on. Dr. Fauci's not going anywhere. And unfortunately, what we should have did was require China to pay us damages for unleashing this foolishness. They should be giving the United States damages for the crap that they pulled on the world.
Oh,
and Dr. Fauci, I'll say this. The bird flu's been around forever. And I do believe that these things can reproduce themselves and turn into different things, different types of viruses, and they mutate. I'll say this. President Trump, he did say that, hey, we called it, what was the warp speed? Everybody took it. We took it because, hey,
I didn't take it.
You need to take it. Well, I took it. I didn't get sick or anything. I don't even think I got sick. And I think I took it 2 or 3 times at the VA or whatever.
Ooh.
But my thing is this. Yeah, and I had no problems. But what I will say, a lot of people were dying around the world. And so something was up with people that had comorbidities, which probably would have died from strains of the flu, possibly. But my thing is this, folks: if you're going to convict somebody or indict somebody, please have a legitimate case. Don't do this to the American people.
I think there's a legitimate case, John. But let me ask you this, my friend: did you ever watch the documentary "Died Suddenly"?
No, I did not.
You know, I know we're all busy. You got your 9 to 5. I got my 9 to 5. We're working, but I challenge you to somehow over the next 2 weeks carve out an hour of your time and look it up on Rumble and come back and talk to me about it. I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, and I'll say this: documentaries, and I'll watch a documentary, and what I'm going to do though, I'm going to go back and do my research before I just look at anything. I'm going to research it after I watch it.
Go ahead.
You know, I'm going to listen. You know, I'm going to juxtapose it, and I'm going to really run it through. I'm going to hot wash it and everything else, because I'm really not a big fan of just watching something and then coming to a conclusion without some other information and evidence. I want to see what the con and pro is for this particular argument, and then I want to try to research it and come to a conclusion. I think sometimes, like I remember watching, I think it was 1,000 Mules or something by Dinesh D'Souza or something. Then years later, he comes out and says he had bad information when he gets sued. So I'm very skeptical about just.
Are you skeptical about CBS News and ABC News and NBC News?
Here's what I'll tell
CNN?
you.
Because you can't be skeptical sometimes and then not skeptical other times.
Let me tell you this: I watch Fox News, I watch CBS, I listen to the left, I listen to the right, I listen to libertarians, and I always like to get as much information as I can before I jump on anybody's bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know, and don't get me wrong, CBS is there to make money. Fox is there to make money. These are billionaires that pit people against each other and create narratives so we all have a camp to go and huddle together and hug each other and kumbaya with each other and say, yeah, it's the left, it's the right. My brothers and sisters, what I will tell you is this: it ain't left and right. It's just about right. And what I mean by right, we talking righteousness, brother. That's all it's about. And until we can start calling a spade and get out of these camps, we're going to be running at each other and we're going to be so confused, hating each other. We have forgot about loving each other.
It's already there.
Crazy.
Brother John, I don't mean to cut you short, but I'm way past my break, my friend. But I am glad that you're out there listening. I do hope you go watch that and see. I'd like to get your opinion on it. All right, my friend, take care. I didn't mean to cut. I just got to take this break. That was Brother John. Some people like that I take left phone calls. Some people don't. I like to think that we can have argument and a conversation on the radio and let you decide. All right, we're going to take our next commercial break. You're listening to the Andrew Gossett Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill.
And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Wow, John got a lot of people fired up. Wanted me to cut him off. I think John, he speaks what is on his mind, and he engages a lot of other people. He either furthers their point of furthers their point of belief, or it strengthens ours. And I hope John watches Died Suddenly. You've got lots of PhD neurology types, morticians, and a lot of raw evidence that suggests that the COVID vaccine didn't affect everybody negatively, but it affected a lot more people negatively than it should have. And so when we get these indictments like this, it's the start of something bigger. I'd also remember that's how they got Capone on a silly RICO tax evasion charge, not on all the real bad stuff he did. The Supreme Court just came out with that ruling for about drawing maps. Just in, this is coming from Nick Sordor on X. The Florida House has just overwhelmingly passed Governor Ron DeSantis' new congressional map, which would add 4 new Republican U.S. House seats, 83 to 29. Democrats literally started screaming when it passed. I mean, it's going to happen if this does stand, and if the other states get behind it and change it. It's going to. I have to be truthful and say I want fair maps, like in New England and in Illinois, but what we're doing is we are just further polarizing our country, and maybe it needs to be polarized right now. But man, that is certainly frightening to me. One of the other stories that I wanted to cover before Brother John called in, let me get there real quick, is the Savannah Rodriguez of Turning Point USA. She was attacked. Here it is right here. She was attacked. Hernandez, not Rodriguez. I apologize. Savannah Hernandez was attacked outside a Minneapolis ICE institution. And the video is really hard for me to watch. I did watch it a few times. And just the violence that the left is perpetrating on anybody who doesn't agree with them is wrong. The left can't handle confrontation and disagreement of thought. It's truly like StarCraft Zerglings. They just run around and attack in a swarm and in a mob. Well, 2 of those jokers just got indicted. And John would say it's just an indictment. They can indict. He didn't say he could indict a ham sandwich, but we've all heard the story. You can indict a ham sandwich. But now this is good. I think it's great that these punks are going to have their day in court. Now, granted, it's going to be a jury of their peers. And what kind of jury are you going to get out of Minneapolis? But I don't know. We are at strange times here in America. Strange times here in America. Coming from brother Kingfish, he had a story about Delbert appointing a new bond man to the water board, and I thought this was important because I know I do not talk about Jackson enough. I should talk a little bit more local, but it's the national stuff that interests me. But Delbert Hosemann, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, announced an appointment to lifelong Jacksonian businessman Sandy Carter as his representative of the 9-member Metro Jackson Water Authority, which is good. We need a body that's outside of necessarily Jackson controlling the Jackson water. That sounds a little bit hypocritical, but we still haven't proven that Jackson can control anything. They allowed their water system to degrade to the point that it is. and the federal government and the state had to bail them out. Private industry had to bail them out. And now we're moving forward. I hope John Horn can get the other things under control. And at some point, the water board can get turned back over to Jackson. It does the Republicans or Mississippi no good to have outside boards controlling parts of Jackson because the people who are elected in Jackson can't do the job. But we don't need billion-dollar paychecks coming out to write more billion-dollar checks to pay for the malfeasance and horrible leadership that Jackson has had. Again, not calling Mayor Horn out, but some of those aldermen have been there a long time. They've just been going along to get along. Kind of looks like it to me. Sandy Carter brings decades of financial experience, deep knowledge in Jackson water system. There's a strong commitment to the community. He's unlike that one alderman who's like, nope, no data centers here. There's another story about where the company came out and said that that alderman was full of it. Just political grandstanding, like so many politicians do. I do hope that Jackson does start to get it turned around. I think there's some good areas to develop that you could do some really great things with. Again, you've got that rail yard there. I sit there and watch it when I'm going to the VA. I'll drive down that way and check it out. I'm that much of a rail nerd. Anyways, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take our last commercial break and wrap this show up when we get back on the Andrew Gosser Show. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Last segment, I want to thank everybody for messaging. People seem to be really excited about the Supreme Court decision. Florida's already moving. I'm sure I've already texted a couple of state reps that I'm I would say actually friends with. I've actually hung out with them a couple times outside of politics, so I'll call them a friend. And they're moving and grooving, and who knows what's going to happen with that. Over the past couple of days, people have been saying, watch out for the weather. Don't be scared, be aware. And hopefully you got your weather radio or you have your cell phone turned on. If you have your Amber Alerts turned off, if you don't like getting your Amber Alerts, you won't get your weather alerts either. And want to get that done. What's going on this weekend? I'm actually going to head on over to Beethoven's on the boardwalk after church on Sunday. They've got a brunch cafe or brunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner thing going with live music. And Chip was telling me about that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to actually talk about that on the air because I think the Sweet Bee might enjoy that. Sweet Bee might enjoy that. Last but not least, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this because it's now happening here in Mississippi, where ICE agents are detaining people who are here illegally. And it appears as though the situation in Hancock High School, where brothers were detained by ICE because they were here illegally. And the community is obviously concerned. If they are here legally, then it's a real bad look for ICE. But if they're here illegally, then they're here illegally and they need to go. And we can't call the pot can't call the kettle black. You're either for deportation of people who are here illegally or you're not. Now, hopefully you don't go like President Obama did and, start putting the kids in cages. But who knows? Who knows? Lots of texts coming in all of a sudden. Someone wants to know, where were you born and where were you raised? I was born in Chicago. I was raised in Illinois. I grew up all over the United States serving in the military. I know it bothers you. It bothers you that a Yankee can come move to Mississippi and appreciate Mississippi more than you have living here your whole life. But sometimes you need to go live in other places to see how good you really have it here. Mississippi's got the best place to live. It's the most economical state in the world. Yes, it has problems with jobs and wages, but if you can figure it out, you can have a great life down here on a modest income. Did you hear King Charles' speech? Tell that the U.S. Man, this guy can't get a post together without cursing. People are asking me to read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to end the show. What is the last paper book you've read? Be honest. When's the last time you've actually turned some paper in a book? I'm reading a book right now, Overcoming the Flaws and Faults of Human Nature by Rod Allegard. He's part of our church ministry team. And I have to say, if I'm going to whine and gripe and complain to all y'all about reading, I guess I should read some books too. I read so much more fiction than I do nonfiction. And I think, well, it's fun to read and you're exercising your brain no matter what you're reading, whether it's the newspaper, the Sunday Scrabble, whatever. But I do think that we should need need to start reading a little bit more. Brother John, people saying you need help. I think you're doing all right. Keep listening. We'll get you there. And then leading me to Facebook. I don't know. I don't know what to say about opening up that link right there. That's pretty scary. Look, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. It's Wednesday night. Some of us will be going to church. Some of us will be going to dance class. Some of us will be going to work. Just be aware of the weather, what's going on. Coming up next, we've got Lindsay Beckham. I'm not sure what she's going to want to talk about, but she's coming up next. Then we have some national shows. And then from 4 to 6 p.m., it's who? The Radio Strongman, Kim Wade. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about the redistricting. He probably have a much tougher view on Brother John than I do. It's just my nature. Politically, I would always get somebody backed into a corner and let them know that I won and then give them a way out. It's just that much easier. But that's just me. That's not you. How I do things is not how you do things. Until tomorrow, take care, everybody. Be blessed. Yes, and amen.